Welcome everyone to Behold All Things Are Made New. My name is Yami and this is my space here. I invite you guys to sit here, grab some coffee and just sit down with me while we go through our daily devotional today. It is a new day. It's August 1st, 2023. And if you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning back, welcome back. Make sure you're liking, you're subscribing, you're sharing, and also you're commenting so we can interact. So in today's devotional, let's read it together. It says strength and insight, and this is from Job 12:16 from the NIV version. It says, to him belongs strength and insight, both deceive and deceiver are his. So Job's friends told him that if he were truly blameless, God will not allow travesty to befall him. They preached that those who do God's will have laughter put in their mouths. Job argued that it's not always the case. He knew he was innocent, and yet the Lord had allowed terrible sufferings to befall him. Job pronounced that all strength and insight comes from God, and he rules both the good and the bad. Suffering is not the sign of sin. To suffer and still abstain from sinning, it's pleasing to God's heart. We will have tragedy in this life. Pain inflicts the unjust as well as the just. The Lord does not promise us laughter, but one day our suffering will be over until the day of the Lord is close by to help us. I do not pretend to know better than you, Lord God Almighty. Everything you do is done in love. When I suffer, may it increase my faith rather than rejecting you. Help me to cling to you. And the question is, how can you continue to trust God when you're suffering? Ooh, this hit home. I have been in this season where there's a lot of things that have been happening to me that I feel like I do not deserve. And I'm like, Lord, and as I was talking to, the people that are close to me, I was getting both, responses like Job's friends and also responses as, just stay in a battle. And I'm going to say that for me personally, I have learned that just because you're a child of God doesn't mean that, everything is going to be great. I keep saying in my social medias, if you guys are following me, that I have realized this trend where even Christians, influencers, they only post the goodness of God. They only post their good moments, their victories, their celebrations, but nobody talks about the suffering. Nobody talks about, the grieving. Nobody talks about all those moments. And I have caught myself, even my personal self, comparing my moments of suffering more like, but they're Christians and they're not suffering like I'm suffering, God. How unjust is that? Right? And today's devotional was absolutely beautiful because sometimes, when we read about these stories in the Bible, it's not the same as when you're actually sort of living through it, right? And I'm so glad that this was today's devotional because, again, for me personally, for the past few months, it's just been, and I'm going to say straight up, it's just been hell and back. And I think it's just beautiful, to know that, even in the midst of all of that, I kept my faith. I kept believing in God, even when I was crying, even when I felt like I didn't deserve what I was going through. I just kept holding tight to God. I didn't let my heart get hard. I didn't let my heart get weary. I didn't hold hatred in my heart. And I think that's the most beautiful thing, I think it's beautiful when you can stay in a good fight of faith. And even when something happens to you that, you feel like it should have never happened to you because you're a child of God, But remember, in this world, we will always have tribulations. And I'm just happy that this was today's devotional. I'm just going to cut it right here. I'm going to encourage you to write in the comments below, what are you going through that you feel like in a Job season right now, or where your friends are telling you, oh, that's not God. But in reality, you know that the Lord is still with you. So I'm gonna encourage you to comment below. I want to read you guys and I want to answer. Stay blessed.